Excuse me. God, it's already off to a great start, isn't it? Good evening. It is quarter till 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and this is the forecast video for today, tomorrow, and the day ahead, and maybe a few days in the future for the tropics. The tropics are not quieting down, most likely anytime soon. Looks like we'll be kicking into high gear now for the next month or so. Of course, we always start out with the temperatures. The highest temperatures are in the south central U.S. Also, some higher temperatures out in California and Nevada. Much cooler off to the east due to tropical depression Ida, who is sitting over eastern Tennessee. The center is sitting somewhere in there, and of course it's bringing cooler temperatures because of clouds and that rain. But unfortunately, it's bringing a lot of flooding and tornadoes. Dauphin has had several tornadoes today. A couple of tornadoes. I believe they've had a couple in the immediate area, but as far as the region is concerned, they've had several tornadoes today. Just can't get a break. Dew points here. Now, yes, it's cooler, but it's also very humid as well. So, it's dry up to the east, but moist. Dry to the west, moist to the east. I'm not sure how I'm not speaking very well. But, yeah, again, it's cooler, but it's way more humid. So, not going to feel all that great with that tropical moisture in the air. Also adding to the instability, creating an environment favorable for tornadoes on the eastern side of the center of circulation. Current radar, you can see her messy, broad zone there. Her center of circulation over here is east central Tennessee. And of course, several squall lines on the very eastern side of it and on the southeastern side of it, down Alabama and Georgia, and also Virginia. Virginia has had multiple tornadoes today, a couple in Blacksburg, Virginia as well. They've had a couple touchdowns that I'm aware of. Current alerts, they had a tornado watch, or they have a tornado watch that goes until 3 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. A couple tornadoes are possible. A flash flood watch up from northern Georgia all the way up to the Atlantic coast in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And also a flash flood watch for all of Arizona, western New Mexico, southeastern California, and southern Utah as well. So flooding issues east and west. Also heat advisories for the Ark-La-Tex and Oklahoma region as well. Also parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, where Hurricane Ida came through. Okay, so this is today's forecast. Well, what was today's forecast? This map has changed a little bit since this morning, but most of the action is in the eastern U.S., with the exception of the northeast, and also in the southwest as well, where flash flooding is occurring. Monsoon's still kicking around there. A moderate risk in 3 areas along the Ohio River Valley, up into down into northern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, in that region, the foothills of the Appalachians, and a moderate risk for southeastern Arizona as well. Alright, here's the Categorical Outlook for severe weather today. Marginal risk from the Florida Panhandle up through Georgia, South Carolina, eastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, Virginia, really the Delmarva region is under that slight risk, marginal risk for St. Louis and the surrounding regions, and a marginal risk for the extreme high plains. Here's a tornado outlook. The southeastern, the eastern U.S. Risk is tornado and wind driven. Also 5% risk for the the St. Louis risk. And then the hail outlook is a 5% for the high plains risk. Alright, and then here's tomorrow, the overall view. The center of circulation for Ida is expected to be ways west of Philadelphia, north of Baltimore. And then her tail front is kind of connected up towards the between the occlusion region of that low pressure system in North Dakota, sitting almost along the North Dakota-Canadian border. So, then here is the SPC Day 2 Outlook. We have an enhanced risk for parts of the Delmarva region, and also southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania. Much of Maryland is under that enhanced risk, much of central Maryland. And the slight risk goes all the way down almost towards Wilmington, North Carolina. And then the slight risk for parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. Here's the tornado outlook, a 10%. A very volatile atmosphere is expected for tornadoes associated with post-tropical cyclone Ida as it rolls through there. And I had a couple discussions. I would not be surprised to see a significant risk or a 15% unhatched risk, and a 15% unhatched does fall into enhanced risk probability, but I don't think we're going to see either of those two. I do think the chances are equal for those two, but they're both low chances. I don't expect those to be added in. Could those be added in as possible? But it's uncertain to see if that's going to happen. I think the chances for that is low. Here's a closer-in view of that the enhanced risk, and it does include D.C., Baltimore, and some parts of Philadelphia, and Wilmington, Delaware. So that pretty much goes over to as far west as Frederick and Alexandria, as far east as the coast of southern New Jersey. And the 10% tornado outlook is the same. They do have to match, the risks do have to be driven by something. And of course that 10% matches that enhanced risk. Here's our own custom SPF, or Supercell probability forecast. We've added a new part of our SPF. It's the categorical, along with the probabilistic outlook as well. We've also tweaked the names a little bit, so we've replaced marginal with slim. Now I am changing that slim to a low, so instead of it being marginal or slim, it's going to be low for 2 and the 5% risk, and the enhanced has been replaced with the elevated risk. And of course the category outlook has the elevated risk there. I've put it a little farther west. We might bring one of our forecasters might bring that elevated risk down south just a little bit, as there is higher confidence in modeling that there could be a more elevated risk there. And then the probabilistic outlook, which if we have risks that have multiple probabilities in them, like the low, elevated, and high risk, we can add those in, and we had the 5% there added in. But that's just the probabilistic outlook, and the impact risk is going to be from mostly tornadoes, probably about a 90% tornado and a 10% wind and 0% hail. That's probably what we're going to see in there. One of our forecasters is going to decide that once the day 1 outlook comes out. Back to the SPC, 15% wind risk there. Some of those storms may produce strong winds up to 70 miles per hour. They're looking. Then the hail outlook is going to be 15% for parts of South Dakota and Nebraska. Alright, let's talk a little bit about the flash flooding potential tomorrow, because there are major concerns about flash flooding due to the remnants of Ida. First of all, a slight risk for the Four Corners states, a slight risk for parts of Florida for near Inverness. But the biggest concern is going to be that high risk for portions of southern Pennsylvania, northern West Virginia, northern New Jersey, southern New York, that does include parts of New York City, and then southern Connecticut. Here's a closer view of that high risk. area. That includes portions of Philadelphia and Trenton and New York City, and portions of southern Connecticut as well. That is the high risk, and we'll take a look at the what the models are saying. This is off the WPC, and they're looking at up to 8 to 10 inches of rainfall in south central Pennsylvania, but the average seems to be about 5 to 7 inches of rain. The max here you can see at the bottom right of the image is 9.23 inches of rainfall. And that's only in a little bit of a shorter amount of time. That's not over days. That's over just maybe half a day. So we could expect some flash flood emergencies to be issued tomorrow. So it could be a very dangerous situation with the flash flooding. Here's just an expanded view of that. Also, heavier totals in western Florida as a line's expected to come through tomorrow morning. Literally linger through most of the day tomorrow. But again, that's a wide swath of large rain amounts, goes all the way over to the Atlantic coast. Here's off the GFS, and a little bit more conservative with the values here, but still, I looked at other models, and they are very, very consistent with the looks of this thing, with how much rain this area could receive, and they don't need a whole lot of it. They've had enough of it. Not that they've had a crap ton already, but this won't really serve much for them. And then this is day 3 as things dry out. The next storm system is expected to come through, bringing a marginally severe situation to portions of the central and high plains, but quiet, mostly quiet for the eastern seaboard. And tropics, you can see all tropical depressions, no tropical storms yet. 12 is what we're watching as emerge off the African coast. And here is the cone. Now, as this thing looks like right now, it could just be a fish storm and this thing goes out to sea. But because this thing is going to be somewhat slow moving for the next few days, it's moving quickly right now, but it's going to slow down considerably for the next little while. Yeah, we don't expect any impacts to the United States right now. But again, this could shift, and this is something that we're going to need to keep a watch on from really the Gulf Coast, from the central Gulf Coast, pretty much all the way up to New England, because we don't know exactly where this thing is going. If we take a look at models, again, it's still way too early to tell. These models can only go out so far, but they are looking at a fish storm for now. I'm not saying this is scare. I'm not saying it's a fearmonger or a hype cast, but we have to take these things with just consideration. This is only a thing to watch right now. Just keep an eye on it for right now. We'll watch trends the next few days. By Friday, we'll be able to get a much better grasp of this storm as to the impact range, and we'll start to narrow that down a little bit better. So again, we have 4 days to watch this thing, and then by Friday, we'll know a little bit better where this thing could go. If it should make an impact on the U.S., we'll know then, and that's when we start taking preparations. Then here is the CMC. Now you notice that the models do have it. Some of the models do bring it a little bit further to the east instead of curving right up to the north. But again, these are in fairly good agreement with the general consensus, and that is taking it west and then moving up to the north and just curving it out to sea, bringing a fish storm. And here's the ATCF guidance, and again, same kind of thing. But again, these models can only go out so far here. So again, it's still just a storm to watch. We don't need to be worried about this thing right now. Just keep a watch on it, and that's what we do. So let's go for modeling for tomorrow. This is off the high-res rapid refresh, and of course we will look at the NAM as well. I didn't put any of the severe weather parameters in here, just the reflectivity. I don't have a whole lot of time for this. But here's what it looks right now. And if we go through the day tomorrow, this is as, let's see, 10Z would be 6 a.m. We do have a couple of semi-discrete and discrete supercells. I mean, just look at that one. North Carolina. Now remember, this is not going to be exactly what the radar looks like. The radar's not going to look exactly like this. It just gives an idea of the potential. Most of these storms are going to be hit or miss. Now, most people should see rain tomorrow. Most people should. But as far as the tornadic supercell, it's going to be a hit or miss situation. Although I am a little bit worried about those semi-discrete supercells that are developing there. But again, I have to remember, and you have to remember as well, the radar is not going to look exactly like this. It's just an overall idea. And as we go through to about noon Eastern tomorrow, the highest tornado potential is going to be really in north-central North Carolina, central Virginia, northern Virginia, west of D.C., but you can see up there, and you can watch up in southern Pennsylvania just how much rain is going to be falling. Moderate to heavy rain amounts in that area are just going to stay and stay and stay there throughout pretty much the whole duration of the day. And then that line develops in eastern Virginia, and that's going to be our main action line. This is 6 o'clock Eastern. This is 6 o'clock Eastern, and that line goes through much of central Maryland. That's going to be our highest chance for tornadic thunderstorms there. So again, that line continues into parts of eastern Pennsylvania, going into New Jersey. And then we wouldn't be surprised to see some tornadic action, some brief tornado action in there. Now, we don't expect long-track violent tornadoes. Just because there is 10% does not mean we're going to see a long-track situation with these things. I believe that the SPC and most of us are concerned about quantity of tornadoes, not as far as the quality of them. We could have, however, a couple of tornadoes that do go a little longer track, that do go higher up in intensity, but we do not expect a tornado, a long track violent tornado outbreak. We just expect several of them tomorrow. Look at the NAM 3 km here. This is 8 a.m. Scattered thunderstorms. A couple of these may be rotating thunderstorms, supercells. And also, you gotta remember that these things are mostly going to be low top. There could be there could be taller thunderstorms within this whole complex, but most of these are going to be low-topped thunderstorms. And then again, also the NAM 3 km is agreeing with a messy situation with the rain there. It's just going to be likely a major flooding situation. And then that line develops in central Virginia with rotating thunderstorms there. My mouth is getting dry, that's why I'm speaking a little weird. And then that line's going to progress, and we could have semi-discrete supercells moving eastward into eastern Virginia and really the main Delmarva region between D.C., Baltimore, those areas, Alexandria, La Plata. Really just in central Maryland and northeastern Virginia is where we're going to see the highest action, into the eastern half of Maryland and into Delaware as well. This is 6 o'clock, and again, the main action window is going to be from 3 to 8 p.m. For most of Maryland. That's going to be our window here, and this is 8 o'clock, and that first line of storms continues to move east, and there could be a second round of storms that does come in. However, that is expected to be weaker But again, we cannot say this with absolute certainty, as this is still a little bit far out for these type of models, and we'll have to see how these storms play out as well. And then that line does push east into New Jersey, and then the line should clear out by 2 a.m. and it should be quiet. So that is it. I didn't put that GIF there for the next few days, but that's fine. But that'll be it for today's video. We'll have more content. We'll likely stream tomorrow for the severe weather risk, so make sure you are subscribed for that tomorrow. But with that said, thank you all for watching. If you're in these areas impacted by flooding or severe weather or whatever it could be, stay safe, stay weather aware, and know what to do. Have a plan of action ready in case you need to take that into effect. But that's all. And that's a wrap, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Have a great night, and stay safe.